This is Harbourfront's Natrel Rink on November the 17th, 2012. Their staff started making ice on November the 12th, and by the end of that week, even though daytime temperatures went up as high as 11 degrees, the rink was able to open. Harbourfront's rink is not a municipal rink, but Toronto has more municipal rinks than any other city in the world. 52 of them spread all over the city. The sad thing is, while skaters at Harbourfront were enjoying themselves on November 17th, none of the many municipal rinks had even begun making ice. The city's parks director, Richard Ubbins, explained the reason in a letter. He said that city staff need nighttime temperatures to be no higher than 0 to start up the rinks. But isn't he forgetting something? Those 52 rinks are not cooled by nature alone. They're built with pipes to carry coolant all through the cement rink slab. Each rink has strong compressors, between 100 and 200 horsepower, to pump that coolant through the pipes. When the rinks were first built, city workers always started them up in mid-November, when the sun is weak and the coolant pumped through those pipes can easily keep the ice frozen. The weather in November has always been variable. Here's an Environment Canada historical weather table for November from 1937 up to the present. The yellow dots show temperature from 0 up to 9 degrees. The green dots show temperatures higher than that. Whatever the temperature, city workers always started up the rinks in mid-November. The city's main rink refrigeration company, Simcoe, says that this is fine. Although the parks director said the rink startup requires freezing temperatures at night, the Simcoe manager told us that up to even 10 degrees still allows ice making, and it's not a strain on the compressors. Since the city first built these compressor-cooled rinks, they always laid down water at night, not in the daytime, for the first week. That way they got the maximum benefit from avoiding the power of the sun altogether. Every morning the ice would be thicker than the day before. But when everything got reorganized after amalgamation, nighttime ice making stopped, and the workers changed to laying down water on the rink in the daytime. That's much harder unless there's a cold snap. In Etobicoke, rink staff tried to deal with the poor ice buildup by only flooding the hockey half of the rink. Pleasure skaters were stuck with bare cement. They often didn't get to skate at all until a week or two later. Rink friends and some frontline city rink staff got worried that Toronto's resource of compressor-cooled outdoor rinks was in trouble. So in 2008, they put together a booklet about good rink management. They handed it out to lots of people, but not much changed. So then in 2009, some rink friends decided to conduct an experiment. They went over to Dufferin Rink late one night, after the third unsuccessful day of daytime ice making by the staff. They got out the water hoses and wet down the whole rink at midnight. Then they waited for the ice to freeze and did it over again an hour later, and again for 4 more hours. After that, they went home to bed. When the regular ice-making crew arrived, they were surprised to see that the ice was finally starting to stick. The next 2 nights, the rink friends came back after midnight and added more water. Toronto Star reporter Catherine Porter came over and watched on the last night. Then she wrote up a story, which the Star ran on opening day. 3 nights of flooding were not quite enough to compensate for the earlier lack of nighttime floods, but by the 4th day the rink was able to open. Because of the Star story, city staff were assigned to do some late-night floods too, and that helped. The weather was amazingly warm, but the ice held. After the Star story, the City Workers' Union, CUPE Local 416, filed a grievance against city management, because volunteers had been able to get the hoses with which to flood the rinks. In November 2010, the hoses were locked away. But when it came time to make ice in 2011, the Rink friends used other hoses they found to continue their experiment of adding more nighttime floods. Again, it worked. Every year, Rink friends have asked the city to open one rink in mid-November and prove that it can be done, even if it's not near freezing. Up to now, the city has refused to try it. How much more evidence is needed for city staff to remember how best to make ice at compressor-cooled rinks? How can Rink friends and their elected representatives get what Harbourfront has instead of this?